again to I put my foot in it. This is truly an I put my foot in it moment. People have been asking me for this recipe for years, and it took me all afternoon to kind of work it out because I do not measure. But again, I want you to be able to reproduce it. So I spent the afternoon figuring out what a recipe for this would be. Are you ready for the best ooey gooey macaroni and cheese? It is the best. Isn't it just like the ultimate comfort food? What I'm gonna do is make it, and this is not for the faint of heart. This is truly, as they say, a heart attack on a plate, unfortunately. But you don't do this all the time. You do this once in a while, once in a while. Let's talk just briefly about cheeses. For your macaroni and cheese, you want to use a soft cheese or a medium soft cheese. Cheddar is classic. That's what I'm using today, a mixture of yellow and white cheddar. Now you can get into doing things like Gruyere, Havarti. Those kinds of cheeses go nicely in macaroni and cheese. But I wanted to keep this for Thanksgiving just a little bit more traditional with a cheddar macaroni and cheese. So what I've already done is I've melted 1 stick of butter, sorry about that, half a stick of butter here in my electric skillet. And then what I'm going to do is, this is about 4 tablespoons of flour. I'm just going to add that into that butter. I'm going to adjust my temperature. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the butter with, no, my wooden spoon is good. I'm going to mix the butter and the flour together. And some people say, why are you using an electric skillet? Well, because it's easier for the way my camera is positioned for you to see what I'm doing rather than taking you to the stove. But of course, you can do this stove top. This is a little bit different from the way that some people make their macaroni and cheese. But I have kind of combined my way of doing it with my mother's way of doing it, with, you know, just things that I've picked up over the years to build this macaroni and cheese recipe. So you'll see, we don't want our butter to brown and we don't want our flour to really brown. We want our flour to be kind of that blonde color that you see it at right now. Okay? And you say, what are all those little lumps for? You'll see, we'll smooth them right out with this wooden spoon. To that, we're going to go ahead and add, this is 2 cups of milk. We're going to add most of it, but we're going to reserve some of the milk for something else. And I'll show you what we're going to reserve it for. So we're going to put in about that much. And now with all of these little soft globules of butter and flour, we're just going to smooth this all the way out. I have my macaroni here hanging out, but I'm just going to scoot it down. And your wooden spoon is a good tool. I also can take my whisk and even get in here and have ridges in this pan. It's probably best to do this in a pan that has no ridges, but my electric skillet pan actually has ridges, so we'll just work. 2 cups of heavy cream. I told you, this is not a diet-friendly recipe. So that's our 2 cups of heavy cream. And again, we'll come and we'll just whisk all of that together. And you'll see that it'll begin to thicken. So to this, we're just going to add, and I worked this out this afternoon, it's half a teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne. It's something about cayenne and cheddar cheese that just goes together. And then we're going to add 2 whole cups of cheese. Now this is a mixture of white cheddar and yellow cheddar cheeses. And we're just going to add both of that, 2 cups of that to this. And that cheese will also help it to thicken and turn into a very rich cheese sauce. I learned recently that cheddar, and this is funny because I've been a foodie all my life, but cheddar is actually naturally white, and that they dye it, and that's why we have yellow cheddar. But that makes sense. Milk is white. that does, folks, is you have this thick, ooey, gooey cheese sauce. Look at that. You know that's all right. I'm just going to turn that off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my macaroni that I've boiled, and I'm just going to dump it in my bowl, my mixing bowl here. And here, see, look, macaroni overboard. This is real cooking, people. And here's something that my mother taught me to do. So I'm incorporating something from her. Is that you take your noodles that you have boiled while they're still hot, and baby, yes. I thought I turned that off, but it looks like I turned it up. I'll fix that in just a second. But baby, you add another half a stick of butter and let that melt while that's still hot. And you turn it the other way, and then that will be off. There we go. So you just mix that butter in, and you let that butter just melt in those hot noodles. Okay? To this, and this is why people's macaroni and cheese taste so bland, I'm just going to add a teaspoon of salt. We're just going to season our noodles just a taste. Just to, you know, to give them the flavor that they need. Okay? I'm going to add this cheese sauce, and I know that can kind of be a disaster, so I'm going to put you on pause for right now, add the cheese sauce, and come right back. I have dumped all of the cheese sauce out into these noodles. Remember that we buttered and salted. And you see how that cheese sauce just hangs on to those noodles? And that's so important for macaroni and cheese. I can't stand a naked noodle in macaroni and cheese. I like every piece of noodle to have some sauce on it and to be cheesy. So you can already see that's a very thick cheese sauce that we're just coating this macaroni with. And a good thing to do right here, I've already done it, is to just taste your macaroni and cheese right here and see if it needs anything. And usually right here that tastes pretty good with all that heavy cream and such. So you see that? Then to this, what we will add is we'll take 4 eggs that I've cracked and the rest of that milk. And this is what I do. And some people use, I know my mother often uses evaporated milk. To each his own. I use whole milk. And I'm just beating those 4 eggs with that milk. Trying not to drop this. So that's 4 eggs beat with milk. And I'm just checking it to see just how hot the macaroni is, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to temper this egg mixture. What that means is you want to bring the mixture up to the temperature of the macaroni and cheese so that you don't get scrambled eggs in here. So what I'm going to do is put some of this hot macaroni and cheese in here and just stir that around and temper that out a little bit until their temperatures kind of are close together. You're like, that looks crazy. But what will happen if you don't heat that egg and milk up a little bit, you'll end up with scrambled eggs inside your macaroni and cheese. And so now that I've tempered that just a little bit, I'll pour that egg mixture right down in there. And again, like I told you with casseroles, you want them to be kind of liquidy. Macaroni and cheese is no exception. So when it goes into its dish here, again, buttered casserole dish. I guess that's the hallmark of my casserole making. Buttered casserole dish. See how easy that was? Okay, here we go with our cheese. This whole recipe has 6 cups of cheese. I know. Oh, you just said. I heard you gasping. So what I'll do with this wonderful, nifty pouring bowl, you know that's cute. This bowl just has a little pour spout. We'll pour a portion of our macaroni and cheese right on into that dish. I'm sure I lost some. That just goes with cooking. That makes it homemade. Then we're going to take, I might not put all of this cheese. I don't want to scare you guys. If I was doing a big long pan, I might put all of it. Okay, so then we're going to put macaroni and cheese, we're going to put cheese through the middle. And this is just grated cheese. And I know I'm spilling cheese all on the counter and such. You know, this is real home cooking. You know how it goes. Then we'll pick this up and we'll pour the remainder. My mother does that too. That's who I got that from. What my mother doesn't do is she doesn't do this cheese sauce that I make, but she has another way to make it have the same effect. She does that just a little bit differently. So then we'll spread, that's our other half. And then I have some sorors in New Jersey. I know this is their favorite part. When I put in the cheese bombs, I just take little pieces of cheese and I just stick those little bombs of cheese throughout the macaroni and cheese so that while it's baking in the oven, those cheese bombs just kind of explode in the middle. It's not a joke. It's not a joke, people. It is not a joke. So we got some cheese bombs down in here, ready to explode in the oven. And then we'll just put cheese on the top of this bad boy. Okay. I didn't use all 6 cups, but in the end it looks like I used about 5 cups. So that's what I'll put in my recipe down in the bottom information bar. That it is 5 cups of cheese because there's a cup left. So we just covered that with cheese. I've seen people do some crazy stuff. I've seen people do panko, which sounds pretty cool, with this topping. I've seen people do potato chips. So we're going to put this in the oven for 375 until it is bubbling and the edges are crisp and brown. That lets you know that it's done. And then I'll be back to show you the final product. Right, well we are back and this thing is done and out of the oven and it came out great. As you can see, we have already dug down in it because I'm ready to eat. I'm ready to taste it. Oh, can you see all of that gooiness, stringiness, ooey, 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 cheese? The best. The best. That's macaroni and cheese, my friends. That is macaroni and cheese. I could probably eat that whole pan by myself, but I'm not going to. I hope you enjoy this macaroni and cheese this Thanksgiving season or any time. It really, really is a wonderful, wonderful dish.